Hello, History 111. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your writing assignment number 1. Most of what I'm going to talk about is covered in written format, so don't worry if you're not able to access this video. But I just wanted to talk to you about a couple key points and typical problems that people run across. Try not to choose a topic that is far too sweeping. Some folks that I have seen in the past have tried to compare ancient Egypt to Mesopotamia to the Romans on warfare and hearthside family matters. Like that is, you could dedicate entire college departments to singular portions of that question. You're clearly not going to be able to handle it in a 2-page, 3-page essay. Don't overwhelm yourself. What you should do is think about a question that really captures your imagination and move forward from there. Like for me, the example that I gave was comparing and contrasting the religious beliefs of the Romans and the Greeks, which is kind of interesting because it's a very similar religious belief system, but you do have a difference of names, you do have a difference of when one evolved versus the other. Who was it that actually at the core led the other to come to the same belief system? How did that happen? Was it the domination of one over another, or was that just something that was integrated into those two societies? Those are the kinds of things that I'd like for you to answer. Find a small piece that fascinates you. Let's say you're a military strategist and you find that fascinating. But clearly, you start looking through the different leaders that we've discussed in this class thus far. You could pick any of those leaders and sit there and be fascinated by how it is that they were leading their people, leading their men into battle, how it worked, why it worked so well. You could even get down to the point of, say, choosing one particular battle. We went into such detail talking about the Gallic Wars, but maybe you could choose one battle in particular and talk about the way that they, say, flanked on one side and why it was so important that they used the checkered layout for the infantry. I want you to be specific. Don't try to bite off more than you can chew. If you find something that you're passionate about, it's going to make you want to read more. And it's going to make you want to choose better and better sources. Just so you know, Wikipedia, not a source here. If you're talking about trying to use like ask.com, not a usable source here. You need to use real legitimate sources, which is something that we've talked about during week 1, and I gave examples on how to evaluate a source. Make sure that it is a good source, a respected source, and also, I know that some of you might not be as excited about Turnitin.com as I am, but think about it. You use Turnitin.com, you automatically save yourself that penalty of points, and it is your own insurance policy on your academic success. By using Turnitin.com, you make sure that you're able to save yourself from having the issue of accidentally, say you copied something in your notes and then you forgot that it was something that you copied in your notes. Run it through Turnitin.com and that'll check it for you. What I want is to make sure that you have all the tools possible so that way you can pass the class and you can do well and you learn how to research, analyze, critique, and present material in a proper fashion so that way you're able to deliver your points in a crystal clear fashion. So let's say if you're a military person and you have an officer that requests or pretty much requires you to present to a higher level or to even senior level decision makers, that you're able to do that. You're able to do it almost on the spot because you know how to look at a problem break it down, and answer step by step. You're going to do great. I know this is going to be a good week. Again, it's still only History 111. We're not all the way up into the stratosphere of graduate classes. There's room to make mistakes. But please, when we talk, I'm going to talk a little bit about writing the paper itself. 1, make a rough draft. Rough drafts are great. You can go in any direction, and there's no penalty, and no big deal. When I write a paper, what I really like to do is I start off with an outline. And I figure out what are the 3 key points that I really want to discuss. I'll have my intro paragraph and my final paragraph, which is my conclusion paragraph. Those 2 I actually write last. I take my 3 key points and I dedicate a paragraph to each one. And I try to pull in as many outside sources as I can that make sense to be able to build up like a strong body of literature to support my ideas. Like, let's say I decided to make it a position paper where I say, I think the Romans were terrible at warfare. I might be able to prove that point. I might be able to figure out a good way of saying that if I use legitimate sources and I structure my argument in a solid fashion. At the very end, after you've built in each of these 3 body paragraphs, think about the key points that you raised, and that's what you're going to use in your intro paragraph. Your first sentence is going to be your thesis sentence, where you really capture the reader. You make it so they're just so fascinated by what you have to say that they can't help but read what you're saying. And this is also applicable to writing in the real world, writing in the business place, in whatever type of workplace you're in. You want to make it that way your decision maker is able to read in that first single sentence, this is the point of my paper. And you're going to believe it. Go through, kind of do a quick synopsis in that intro paragraph. Move on into those body paragraphs that you spent time developing, researching, rewriting, and reanalyzing. And then conclusion, that is your last chance to prove to people that you're right. You always want to get in the last word. These are the kinds of papers, no matter what kind of paper it is, that you are in control. You have the chance to say, hey, this is exactly why I'm right, and whatever. Because I have written it out, I have clearly stated my points, and then I've wrapped it up in this beautiful conclusion paragraph that is so solid, the other side should just rest their case. And I know that all of you can do that, so let's give it a shot. If you're nervous about any of the parts of doing this, please reach out to me at any time. I prefer it if you have like a singular question, send it to me over the messaging system. And if it turns out that the question that you asked seems to be something that would be beneficial to the rest of the class, it may be something that's highlighted, and then I send out the answer to everybody else. That way everybody can benefit. Remember, we're going to keep a strong classroom, a strong community, and we're all going to get through History 111 together. And let's finish up with a strong first writing paper. Hey everybody, take care. I'm excited to read your papers. And put your best foot forward. I want to see what you can do. Outline. Rough draft. Spell check. Read the paper out loud to yourself to make sure that the grammar makes sense. And then you've got a good paper. Take care, everybody.